Welcome to The Explainer. Have you ever looked at a team and just wondered why they click? While other teams, maybe yours, just seem to struggle to get off the ground? Well, today we're going to try and solve the puzzle right at the heart of that question: motivation. What is it that really drives us to do our best work? So let's just dive right in. This is a puzzle that every single leader, every manager, heck, every person on a team has bumped into. Is it really just the paycheck that gets people going? Or maybe the fear of what happens if they don't perform? Or is it something way deeper, something internal that truly fuels amazing work? The word itself actually gives us a massive clue. It comes from the Latin word movere, which, it just means to move. So at its core, motivation is all about getting someone to take action. But the how? Well, that's where things get really interesting. Because how a manager does that depends entirely on what they believe about people in the first place. Which brings us to our first section, two views of work. The big question: are employees lazy or are they self-directed? This leads us straight to this foundational idea from the 1960s from a management thinker named Douglas McGregor. He argued that managers basically see their employees through one of two very different lenses. He called them Theory X and Theory Y. Wow, just look at the contrast here. Theory X, that's your classic carrot and stick management, right? The core belief is that people are basically lazy and you've got to push them to do anything. But then Theory Y comes along and just flips that whole idea on its head. It says, no, wait a minute. Work is as natural as play. People are creative and they want to take ownership. It's pretty clear that whichever lens you're looking through, well, it's going to change absolutely everything about how you lead. And look, these two theories aren't just, abstract ideas for a textbook. They lead to really distinct, observable management styles. And this is all captured perfectly in what's known as the managerial grid. It simply maps a manager's focus on two axes: their concern for production, getting stuff done, versus their concern for people. So here's how it all plays out. A manager way over at 9-1 is that classic produce or perish type, a pure Theory X approach. Then you swing over to 1-9, and you've got the super friendly, accommodating style, who's great to be around, but might struggle to hit targets. The real sweet spot, according to this model, is that 9-9 team style, which is pure Theory Y. It's all about building trust, sharing goals, and because of that, driving incredible performance. Okay, next up, what drives us? We're going beyond the binary view now. Because let's be honest, people are way more complicated than just X or Y, right? To really get a handle on motivation, we have to move past these broad management styles and zoom right in on the psychological stuff happening inside our own heads. So what is really going on in our minds? Well, it turns out there are a couple of really powerful theories that can help us to code that internal process, that conversation we all have before we decide whether or not to really pour our energy into our work. First up, we've got David McClelland's theory of needs. He basically proposed that all of us are motivated by some mix of three core drivers, things we learn over time. There's the need for achievement, the need for affiliation, that desire for connection, and the need for power. And here's the kicker. For most of us, one of those needs tends to be in the driver's seat more than the others. And that's the whole point, really. A great manager learns how to spot an employee's main driver. If you've got someone high in the need for achievement, give them a tough, meaty project. If you have someone who's all about affiliation, they're going to absolutely thrive in a collaborative, team-based role. It's all about tailoring the work to the person. Okay, next, let's look at this fascinating mental calculation we all do, which is described by Victor Vroom's expectancy theory. So before we really commit to putting in a lot of effort, we subconsciously run through three questions. First, expectancy. If I try really hard at this, can I actually pull it off? Second, instrumentality. Okay, and if I do pull it off, will I really get the reward they promised? And third, valence. How much do I even care about that reward in the first place? And this brings us to a really simple but incredibly powerful formula. Motivation is expectancy times instrumentality times valiance. And the reason the word times is so important is because if any one of those three factors is a zero, the whole equation becomes zero. If you think the task is impossible, or you don't trust you'll get the reward, or you just don't value it, poof, your motivation just collapses. All three have to be there. All right, so motivation in action, connecting theory to the real world. We've gone through some pretty big theories here, so let's bring it all back down to earth. How can a manager take these ideas about our needs and these mental calculations and actually turn them into practical, everyday strategies? Here's a fantastic strategy. Offer mentoring opportunities. I mean, think about it. This directly taps into that need for affiliation by building strong relationships. And on top of that, it shows employees a clear path for growth, which is a huge motivator for almost anyone who cares about their development. Next up, allow for autonomy. When you give your team members real ownership of their work, you're living out that theory Y assumption that people want responsibility. This directly fuels the need for achievement by letting them solve problems and master tough tasks on their own terms. It's a game changer. And please, never ever underestimate the power of regular, clear feedback. So why is it so critical? Well, because it directly addresses Vroom's theory. It strengthens expectancy. It helps employees think, okay, yeah, I know what I need to do to succeed here. And it reinforces instrumentality, that link between their actions and the results. And this brings us to the final, crucial piece of Vroom's puzzle. You have to make sure the rewards you're offering are actually valued by your team. That's valence. And you absolutely, positively must deliver on your promises to maintain trust. That's instrumentality. If either of those is missing, even the best plans are going to fall flat. So, after looking at all these theories and strategies, it really all boils down to one central idea about what a manager's true role is when it comes to motivation. And that brings us to creating the right environment. And here it is. This is maybe the most important insight of all. You can't actually force someone to be motivated. The job of a leader isn't to be some kind of puppeteer. It's to be an architect. A manager's primary task is to create and maintain an environment where people's natural, internal drives can finally be unleashed toward a common goal. So as we wrap up, that's the question I want to leave with you. Based on everything we've covered today, what is one small thing you can change tomorrow to start building a more motivating environment for your team? An environment where they can find their own drive and really thrive. Something to think about. Thanks for watching.